over there, because then we can put down whatever length.
Yeah. Hello Rattlings, and welcome back to my house. So over the past week or so, we mostly just worked on getting our Lincoln blocks up to the level of the second floor. After that, we worked on getting some posts up and structural framing for our second floor to buttress a couple of the walls we've got here holding it up. Other than that, we put a beam up here and there. We did a few ledgers, and mostly we're just working on getting our hangers in and just beginning the joists for our underfloor structural elements right now. That's going to be what we're working on for the first part of this week. For a little while, we've got a couple other beams or posts to put up, and then a bunch more hangers, a bunch more joists. Once all that's finished, we're going to be putting in our subfloor, and from there, we'll just start blocking again up on the second floor. All right. Well, what we've done in the past few days, we trapped Alex on the scaffold. He can't leave. Yep. Otherwise, we finished, well, almost finished blocking up this room. We have to do a couple more courses here just so we can put a ledger all the way around. But on our far wall, we got the ledger up, the hangers on it, and we realized after doing that our joists were cut too short by the supplier. So they do not fit. They're supposed to be replacing them today, and then we can actually get our joists in this room up, but we're just kind of doing other stuff in the meantime. We also, over here, we put a post in and a buttress wall. We still have to put a diagonal into this wall to brace it a little bit better, but this post will hold our biggest beam on this end. The beam goes across the house over there and defines our big opening here. So we got this in. We cut the places where the beams are going to sit in these two interior Lincoln block walls. This one here has two different beams, or two different beam widths sitting on top of it. There's a 10-inch beam to the left, a 12-inch beam to the right. So we just had to make a little step block to support them both so they can butt up together and sit flush on top. Over here, we started defining the structural wall, the buttress wall for this interior Lincoln block wall. This giant beam here, like I mentioned before, is going to come from that post all the way over here. And then on top of that, we're going to cut in a notch and put our 12-inch beam across here. And then once all our beams in, we can fully build out the floor and then start working on our second floor and up for Lincoln blocks. So we had put this beam up here by hand a couple of days ago. And then yesterday, sort of late afternoon, we finished up putting all these hangers up and we got these joists set up here. But I'm waiting on getting my truck back so that I can go and pick up the lift so that we can install our other beams. This beam here is already kind of pushing the limit of what you should be doing by hand, what I should be doing by hand. And the next beam that we need to put up, every other beam sort of sits into it, and it is huge. That thing is probably between 800 and 1,000 pounds, and there's just no way that with the size of crew we have here that we could lift it by hand. So we're getting a lift that's on wheels. We're gonna put it underneath it, lift the whole thing up, the 10 or so feet that it needs to be, set it in place, and not have anybody's backs destroyed or anybody crushed by a falling beam, ideally. So we're gonna take this giant beam with the lift, we're gonna move it out into this area here, get it in position, and then lift it up to place into position on top of these posts and the structural buttress wall here. I don't know exactly how heavy it is, but I'm gonna guess it's probably between 800 and 1,000 pounds. And even with many people, it's kind of an unreasonable lift, especially that high. There's no way we could really do this practically in a safe way without the lift. All right, you ready? We're gonna do the, you ready? Nope. Okay.
I thought this would have been electric.
Nah.
You know, I'm gonna mess with this so yeah, it's up and here. Hold on. Yeah. The wall. Come this way. Away from it. more this way.
Yeah.
Okay, top is on top. Up we go. Are you ready? Pushy.
Lower it very slowly.
Yeah, that was the plan.
I would like to not be here so.
So there isn't actually a problem. What I thought was the problem was I was pretty sure this span here was a 10.5-inch beam, and it was. I thought that that span over there on the other side of the house was a 12-inch beam. It's actually a 10.5-inch beam. So we have a 10.5-inch beam for here, and we have a 10.5-inch beam for there. But we cut all the holes and everything for a 12-inch beam, which is not right. So what we're gonna do to fix that problem is just throw our 2x6, we have a really long one extra just laying around. We're gonna throw that 2x6 on top of the other 2x6 there. That'll add 1.5 inches, and it will bring our 10.5-inch beam to a 12-inch beam, and it will fit perfectly in place. Easy. Oh, thank you. Alright, so right now we are blocking, distinct from Lincoln blocking, but we're basically putting up pieces of wood between our joists here just to brace them against one another so that we don't roll or anything when we're up there. Installing the floor just helps stiffen everything up and make it a little safer, a little less squeaking, a little less rolling around in the long term. So it'll just be cutting blocks and nailing them up there for hours today. I'm very excited about it. So here we've got this big structural arch here. This was not on our architectural drawings or our engineered drawings because the architect very rightly believed that we would be using fairy dust to hold the floor up here. But we ran out, so we actually had to build structure in here so that we can hold the floor up in this area of the house. In the original plans, there was nothing here. It was just a floating corner. The floor would be sitting on nothing at all, nothing structural. I realized that that was an issue yesterday, so we built this big arch here out of literally like leftovers from our building package. to make sure that our floor doesn't fall in. That's what that is. Okay, so this week we mostly were just working on getting our joists hung for the second floor and building a couple structural areas to, again, hold the floor up. It took most of the week to get that done. It was just pounding spikes into the Lincoln block walls, getting the ledgers up, ledgers screwed in, and finally the joists hung. Next week we're gonna be hanging a couple of joists that ended up being broken, so we have to get some replacements. They're coming in on Monday. Once we get those installed, we're just gonna be installing the floor. So that'll be at least a couple days worth of work, and after that, we're back to doing regular Lincoln Blocks tasks.
Like and subscribe.